Darian DeVries left West Virginia to be the head coach at Indiana, but the Mountaineers might still be upset by his departure.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, and it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. And today's a fun episode because Darian DeVries left West Virginia to be the head coach at Indiana for obvious reasons, but the Mountaineers might still be upset about it. And there's a little drama brewing between West Virginia and Indiana. We talk about that today with Mountaineer Paul, the host of Locked On West Virginia, and that starts right now.
Talking basketball today, and it's going to be a super fun episode. But before we get there, we have to shout out FanDuel. If you didn't know, now you know. Right now, you can get $200 in bonus bets if your $5 bet wins, but you can't win if you don't play. So head over to FanDuel.com to get started. And look, this guy doesn't even need an introduction. We've had him on before. We've been on before with him. This dude is the man when it comes to Indiana sports and knows a thing or two when it comes to Darian DeVries, absolutely. So let's bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Jacob Goins from Locked On Hoosiers.
What is up, my man? It is so good to talk to you again. And even though it's the offseason, technically, doesn't feel like it, does it? Feels like there's always stuff to talk about. And these two fan bases are fired up for their respective basketball programs. And so we're really, really ready to jump into it.
Yeah, man. So it's been fun over the last few months. I think, one thing I can say, and you can say, it's numbers are usually pretty good when you get a new coach. And, there's this whole roster thing that's had to happen to be flipped. Man, you guys really went head first into the portal. What an absolute haul for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we had to completely reset the team. Everybody either graduated, transferred out, or ran out of eligibility. I mean, the entire team is going to be brand new here in Bloomington. Only one high school recruit with Trent Sisley. Everybody else is from the transfer portal, anywhere from West Virginia to Drake to Elon. I mean, you name it. Indiana kind of got on people from all over the place. And so it's a brand new roster with a brand new coach and a brand new staff. Everything is just kind of up in the air right now. There's excitement, sure, but there's still a lot of question marks in Bloomington. I'm sure you guys could say the same there in Morgantown, huh?
Well, yeah, and I think it's, we're very similar in the fact that over the last, it goes a little deeper for you guys over the last 20 years, but over the last 4 years for us, we've had 3 different coaches. So we kind of understand what you guys are going through to a little bit lesser extent because you guys have had this over since, basically since Bob Knight, right? You've had 1 or 2 off seasons here.
Yeah.
But, you guys have been, point is we're kindred spirits in that we've had some destruction, if you will, with the program. But, we're here to kind of talk aftermath because I was looking at our text and I couldn't believe the last thing I sent you. Do you know what it is?
It was when it happened, right? Like right when it happened.
I said, I am so crushed right now. That was the last thing I said to you.
Yeah.
And I was. Because at the time, I was pretty in love with Darian DeVries as a coach.
Yeah.
And the idea of what a year 2 could look like with him. And if you look at the class that we had, Hawthorne ends up going to Kentucky now and jumping up 73 spots in the rankings. That was the kid we would have had. Just him alone is a huge loss.
Sure.
Not to mention, we had another guy that was ranked even ahead of where he ended up. 73 spots up. So that would have been 2 high-end 4-star freshmen, along with another kid that is a lot of people think could be better than all. So just high school alone, we lost a lot, not to mention the nucleus of the roster. It's been a wild trip for us. And to get Ross Hodge, somebody that a lot of people probably weren't excited about at first until we kind of dug into that. What has your vantage point looking over at our side? Have you been unenthused, nonplussed, unenthusiastic? Like, how do you feel about it? You think we swung and missed?
For West Virginia in terms of what? Yeah, I mean, Honestly, it's just been kind of a wait and see process because I think Hodge is a really good coach and he brought a
Right.
couple of players with him, right? I
He
think he
did,
brought
yeah.
2 or 3 guys with him and they picked up, I think just a couple of hours ago, they picked up another transfer, one that I think is going to be solid. Look, I think the roster is good for West Virginia and Hodge is a really good coach. He's one of those where maybe not a lot of people knew who he was, but if it works out, he could be your man for years and years to come. And I think Indiana's trying to do that with Darian DeVries as well.
Right.
But this wasn't going and getting, Jay Wright or Coach Cal or anything like that. You didn't go get somebody who was a big name already established. You kind of went for an up and comer in West Virginia. If it works out, it's going to be awesome. You guys are kind of like we are, just kind of in wait and see if the roster comes together, if they gel properly, if he's the man for the job. Does West Virginia give him time to do what he needs to do? I mean, it's kind of how I look at it from the outside looking in. From the opposite side of the aftermath here, seems like West Virginia's in an okay spot. You just got to get guys on the floor and see where it goes.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, from my vantage point looking over to Indiana, you guys crushed it. I mean, there's just no other way to say it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to hate. Trust me, I do. But man, you guys have really struck gold, I think, on a lot of these dudes in the portal because a lot of them are really good. It's not like you guys are. It's not last year's DeVries where you're betting on some guys, a Sincere Harris, or even a Jonathan Powell that you flipped from Xavier at the last minute. It was a high contributor. These are proven commodities that, the reason you make the move from a West Virginia to an Indiana is these resources that you guys have that we could have. We just rather put in football, right? And and at Indiana, I think basketball's still king, although football's being treated great right now. But we talked about Signetti. He lost a couple dollars with DeVries coming in town. No.
Yeah, I mean, I think Signetti's happy that he's there. I think he's going to feel it a little bit too, that basketball's hopefully getting some more money support that the fans want it to get. But as long as football keeps winning and keeps getting some upgrades and can compete in NIL, football will be okay. I mean, for basketball versus football historically at Indiana are as bad as far as it gets. And so, yeah, I mean, I think good things are happening and Indiana fans seem to be fairly pleased with what DeVries has done so far, but it's the same with West Virginia. We just don't know until we know. We can sit here and guess and talk about, well, I think this player is going to be good and I think he'll be a role player here, but they just now reported for summer workouts. So we're now going to start getting at least a little bit of insight on what these guys are, what they're going to do, how they're going to play. And then you guys know this at West Virginia, but we have to learn it in Indiana of how is DeVries going to coach? We can go back and look at his style at Drake and West Virginia, but how will all of that translate to Indiana with this particular team? And you guys are going to be learning that too with Hodge as your new coach.
Yeah, and in Indiana, you've got loud voices on the outside that have some authority.
Sure.
That at West Virginia, you kind of just get the way in basketball. You kind of get to coach and be who you are. You go to a place like Texas, where like when Rich Rod went to Michigan, this is a great example. When Rich Rod went to Michigan, he thought he was going to take this hard edge style that he has and take that to the Big Ten. And nobody liked it. Everybody there hated it. All the boosters hated it.
Yeah.
And told him about it, which is why he didn't even really complete 3 years there. And Brady Hoke won a Sugar Bowl with his team. And so, at Indiana, I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine there are some pretty large voices that could impact how a coach coaches.
Yeah, and I think Mike Woodson fell into that category and fell into that trap a little bit of he was the old school coach though. He was a guy that failed out of the NBA and he was a former Hoosier. I mean, Bob Knight loved him. I mean, there was a whole history there with him. And so I think his leash was a little bit longer because of all of that, but he still only was there for 3 years. It just went so bad so quick that, the big names and the big, we don't have to hide it, the people with the money, right, Mountaineer Paul? I mean, the guys that have the dollars and the ones that sign the checks control how athletics work. And that's what happened with Woodson. They're excited about DeVries, but we just got to see what happens. And if he starts winning early, they'll be happy, I promise.
So what did you make of DeVries openly admitting that he had been in contact with you guys? And we actually talked about it on your show. You called it on the show or on my show. I can't remember which it was. You said, actually, I heard his name for the first time over this past weekend, right?
Yep.
And then it came out that that was true. Do you buy it all the way back to the preseason tournament?
I don't know. That's so hard. I mean, it's so hard to track and so hard to on one hand, I want to say, no way they would do that. No way they'd
Right.
have that conversation. But on the other hand, I mean, man, we're talking college athletics, and it's gotten pretty ugly on the back end of everything with coaches and players and money and administrations. You know this. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, it's fair game. It's just a free for all. So could
Yeah.
it have happened that early? Absolutely. But yeah, he basically said, we've been having conversations, and we can't kid ourselves, though. Most coaching searches go that way. When there's a big opening and people are in line to get the job, conversations are had, whether it's direct through agencies, family members, whatever. I mean, that's just how things go.
Let's go to a quick break. I want to ask you a couple questions about some of the candidates you guys missed out on. And also, we still got to talk about, obviously, Tucker DeVries, and we can't forget Trace and Eaglestaff, right? There's a
Sure.
big
Oh, yeah.
comparison there we got to talk about, too. Stick around, guys. This is Locked On West Virginia and Locked On Hoosiers crossover. We'll be right back. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by FanDuel, guys. And we're talking about FanDuel. You know we're doing it big because, like we say, around FanDuel, highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. And whether it's a game-winning shot, a breakout player, and there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip and live. And with player props, performance trends, same-game parlays, fans actually have more ways than ever before to play smart and win big. And if you want, you can read about who's heating up. You can back it up with the same game parlay. Or how about $200 in bonus bets to add to the excitement of that first $5 bet? You can do it all at FanDuel, but you have to sign up first. And FanDuel.com is the place to do it. Place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. And that's all you got to do. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. And it's segment 2. Let's crack a do. Code Red style today. What are you drinking on, Jacob?
I got some sweet tea, Mountaineer Paul. What you know about some good sweet tea? Huh? It's a homemade.
I like sweet tea, man. I like
Homemade,
sweet tea
man.
for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a little pigeonholed in here because Mountain Dew rhymes so well with segment 2.
That's awesome. Are they sponsoring Locked On West Virginia? Are they like a title sponsor for you yet?
You know, that's the dream. That's
Man,
absolutely
wouldn't
the
that be
dream.
nice?
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk to our bosses at Locked On and see if we can get this
Absolutely,
set up
man.
for you.
That'd be a heck of a payday for everybody if we get Mountain Dew on board.
Absolutely.
All right, man. So you know, you guys swung big first, right? I mean, you heard the names, you know, whether it was, I mean, you heard everybody from, I think I saw Bruce Pearl was thrown out there at one point in time.
Yep.
You know, you just seen so many names. What's the reception been for DeVries? Did some fans feel like you settled? Did some people say like, hell, you could have at least tried for a Kelvin Sampson or whoever? Obviously, he probably wouldn't be a good second time around, but
Well, yeah, that's the problem. I mean, there were some big names, and I'm trying to it feels like it's been forever, but it was
Ole
only a
Miss's
few months
coach.
ago.
Yeah.
Yep. Chris Beard, Bruce Pearl, Jay Wright was thrown around in there.
Jay
Scott
Wright.
Drew from Baylor was a big
Drew,
one.
that was the big one.
Yeah, I mean, that one was really starting to gain some traction for a while, and then all of a sudden, Indiana was like, "Hey, we like this Darian DeVries guy," and they went and they made the hire. And so I think Indiana fans at the time, they were like, okay, yeah, you know, we'll see how it goes because of the other big names being thrown around. He was one that, as we mentioned earlier, it was, oh, Darian DeVries is in the mix. Oh, he's in the lead. Oh, he's hired. Like, it was just like that. There was not a whole lot of time to break it down and process it on what
like
it
a
could
week.
be. Yeah, I mean, if that. I mean, it
If
was
that,
just
yeah.
a few days, and his name popped up. He was in the lead, and then he was hired. And so I think fans were just kind of like, you know, all right, that's fine. I mean, he coached at Drake for a couple of years and just the 1 year at West Virginia, and now he's going to come in and take over this program. But most of them seem to be pretty excited as of right now with the transfer portal additions. Now, a lack of a true center has been a conversation with us, but overall, I think they are excited about him, the winning culture that he's going to bring, and just the different style that he brings as well. And hopefully that is what we see on the floor, but curious on how you guys are feeling at West Virginia with your new head coach, one who is an up and comer. But again, I like, just on the outside, I like the hire. I really do for you guys. I think it can work out and be a man that could be there for a long time.
You know what he has in his favor is Ren Baker, who's never made a bad hire. Literally, you go back to everybody and look at everybody he's ever, he's literally. You want to talk about Ben McCollum? That's one hell of a hire, right? He saw it before anybody did at Northwest Missouri State.
Yep.
You want to talk about, you can go to anywhere, any number of places. How about this little school in North Texas? Who used to coach there? Oh, yeah, so many players, so many coaches. And then he gets to West Virginia, and you lose Don Plitzuweit, who had an incredible first season, and you think you can't do any better, and he even does better with another hire. Then you think, okay, what are you going to do after Bob Huggins and Josh Eilert? He brings in Darian DeVries, right? He just doesn't miss. And here we go again with this one. And this is somebody he knows. This is somebody he was at North Texas with. And I think that's important to register here, right? So the faith was there. And what a lot of people don't know, and some people laugh at this, but Ren Baker was a college basketball coach at one point in time on the women's side for a year. Okay. So he does know the game on that part of it too, even if it was just for a year. Obviously you don't get that job without being somebody with some knowledge. So, sure. He comes at it from a little bit of different angle, and he takes his time. He has his process, and he's really crushed it, man. And Ross Hodge has done an incredible job keeping everything really close to the vest. That's first of all. He built a good staff that I think a lot of us were really kind of excited about. We weren't expecting some of the names, the Jay Sherrills of the world, obviously the Phil Fortes of the world, who played at Oklahoma State and is a big name, that he had with him there at North Texas. And then he's brought in some other guys too that a lot of us really like. And then you get to the building this team. And I mean, we were seeing some large numbers dropped on some of these players. And what I do know is this, Jacob, is on one side, you're tied to Rich Rodriguez, right? And we all know that he wasn't his first choice. He had to go through a couple guys to get to Rich Rodriguez. He was our first choice as the fans, but we all believed that he wanted Kotelnicki and maybe one other guy. So, and we think the donors had a lot to do with Rodriguez. And so I think he just said, hey, look, flat out, I'm getting a guy in who can coach on the basketball side, and I'm going to be tied to this. I'm going to be tied to Ross Hodge. Yeah. So it kind of gives me personally a lot of confidence in Ren Baker, because I think he just knows coaches and what will work at West Virginia. He's really ingratiated himself into the culture of West Virginia, honestly. So, and then you look, like I said, we can talk about the class here in a second. But it's been really good, man. So overall, the aftermath, I think, has been much smoother than what I thought it was going to be. Even though we didn't land a huge name like you guys, it wasn't, as the market just wasn't set for that this year.
Yeah, and there were a lot of names who were floating around, but most of them were coaching at another big time program. We went through that again. We were mentioning Scott Drew, Bruce Pearl, Chris Beard. I mean, those are guys that are coaching.
Pitino.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, guys that are coaching at big time programs that you would have had to take in from another job. And that's what Indiana did with Darian DeVries, was take him from a big program and bring him to the Hoosiers. But the difference was he didn't have a foundation at West Virginia yet. He had just gotten there. And I know that rubbed a lot of your people the wrong way, and understand. And I know there's been some things coming out of what happened during his time there. But in terms of Indiana, we're going to control what we can control. And it's the fact that he's a really good coach. He wants to be here, and I think he's done a really good job since he got here. So, I know there's a lot of drama, and that seems to have settled a little bit in terms of him leaving. Everybody's kind of moved on, and I think getting players on each roster really helped that. And I know that's where we're going next, is talking about some of these players on our rosters.
Yeah, let's go one more quick break since we're right there at that mark, and we'll do it. Let's talk about the players. We'll talk about Tucker and Eaglestaff next, man. It's going to be fun. We'll be right back, guys. All right, back here with Jacob Goins, Locked On Hoosiers, man. How's the show going for you, by the way, these days?
Yeah, show is good, man. We get to talk football, basketball, and it is again. It's supposed to be the off season, but there's always something going on. The portal was incredible, and now you got the basketball team reporting for fall camp or for summer workouts, and
Yeah.
then fall camp for football is right around the corner. Media days coming up in July, and so yeah, man, show's good, teams are good, and everything is kind of trending up. And hopefully, it's the same for you with Locked On West Virginia, my friend.
Yeah, yes. We, been doing 7 days a week, trying to hit that number consistently. I think we missed 3 days since October, something like that, or 4.
That's great. That's awesome.
So, we're doing, consistency is key, right?
Ain't no
So
doubt.
we have a saying in the group chat, 7 days a week. So we do try to hit that mark. So it's been pretty good. Some days are better than others. It's just the nature of it. Same thing with the portal, right?
Yes.
So you'd mentioned earlier, so the player we signed earlier was actually somebody from a little earlier in the year we were waiting on for eligibility.
Okay.
So that was that announcement. As a matter of fact, yeah, there it is. So it's Chance Morris, I think you were talking about, right?
Yep. Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
guy from the Bonnies, right?
Yeah, the St. Bonaventure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a really good player. Actually, whenever he initially verbally committed anyway, I don't even know what you call it anymore with the portal. But I went over some of his tape with everybody because at least at St. Bonaventure, it's not on national TV a lot, so you can actually play it without getting copyright strict. He's a good player. But let's talk about the 2 headliners for each class. I think even with everybody you've signed, Tucker, probably because he did for us too, he gets overlooked in your class, right? He did for us.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I think the true highlight is Lamar Wilkerson from Sam Houston. He's a top 15 scorer from a year ago, over 20 points a game. He shoots it over 40% from 3. Lamar is the one that I'm the most excited about, but I think Tucker DeVries is right there. I actually did this on my show the other day, talking about Lamar Wilkerson, Tucker DeVries, and then Reed Bailey's the center transfer from Davidson. I think those 3 guys are going to be the highlight of the portal additions, but Tucker, just because of the talent that he has, the size that he has, the scoring ability that you saw 2 years ago before the injury, where he was averaging over 20 points a game and just kind of can do it all on the basketball floor. So he may get overlooked a little bit, but I think once you see this team on the floor, it'll be pretty hard to keep him off of it, to keep the basketball out of his hands. And I just think he's a really, really talented player, hoping for him to be healthy throughout and hopefully get a full version of him in 24 or I guess 25 and 26.
So, and that's the knock on Tucker right now, right? You've had back-to-back off-season shoulder surgeries. If you don't have that, it's really hard to say where he would be right now. If he probably wouldn't be eligible because he would have played last year, at least.
Right.
We think we have our theories, obviously, about what happened there, but that's not what this is about necessarily. Let's compare the 2 as players, man. So, I guess you're going to make a case for Tucker, and I'll make a case for Eaglestaff. You want to do it that way?
Yeah, I mean, look, Eaglestaff's a really good player, man. He is a really, really good player. And the question for him is going to be, like it always is when they go from a mid-major to a big program, is does it translate, right? Will it go from one to the other? We're asking that at Indiana. Heck, 3/4 of the transfer portal players we got are from, like I said, Drexel and Elon and North Florida and things like that. I mean, that you understand that. So it's the question is, will it translate? If it does, Eaglestaff's an incredible player, man. I think he's going to be very talented. I assume he'll be the guy for West Virginia this year.
It's going to be between, there's a couple guys that I think could possibly be back, but it's going to be between him and Honor Huff.
Okay.
Honor Huff led college basketball and made 3s last year with 131, which is a ton.
Ooh.
And obviously he's a 42% 3-point shooter from 3. So, literally you could say the best 3-point shooter in the country was Honor Huff, just not at the Power 4 level. So, he's 5'11". I think that's the thing about Huff that you don't know about. Certainly, though, you put him on the court with an Eaglestaff who shoots, he's just an incredible overall scorer. Yeah. But I mean, if you're just talking about from 3, he's right there at 38, 39%. He's 35.9 for a career, but last year he had such a great year just overall. We think he rounded into form. He's 6'6", 190 pounds, very similar in size and skill to Tucker. Like, you're really splitting hairs between these 2 guys.
Yeah, you are. I mean, Eaglestaff, just looking at it, 6'6", 190, Tucker's 6'7", 220. So, I mean, Tucker's just a little bit beefier, right? He could probably
Yep,
play a little bit more low post, but
he does.
Eaglestaff is going
He's
to
more
be
of a
one
small
that,
forward. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's where he's going to play for Indiana's at the 3. Eaglestaff, is he going to be what, 3, possibly a smaller or a 2 or a smaller 3 for
I
West
think
Virginia?
he'll probably play between he'll bounce back and forth between 2 and 3 depending
Yeah.
on what you need. But yeah, I think the 3 is where you'd like him. It's really just depends on where. I think he needs to be get that Tucker range 210.
Mhm.
Because his body's built differently than Tucker's, obviously. So
Yeah.
Tucker is corn fed, as we like to say, right? That's what he looks like. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't look as athletic as he is.
Right.
Tucker's very athletic.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. And another thing people don't realize about Tucker, he might mess around and be the best defender on your team. Last year, I was totally shocked at how good of a defender he was. He is a glue player. He sticks his nose in there every single time.
Love it.
He's got that toughness. And honestly, one other thing about Tucker is he plays passing lanes because he's so smart at basketball, almost
Mhm.
better than anybody I've seen in a while. So I still really like Eaglestaff.
Oh,
I
I
think
do
his
too.
upside is just a tad higher, but man, are they both good players. But, I think when you're looking at Eaglestaff, one of the things he does really well, for me anyways, is shooting off the dribble. God, he
Mhm.
shoots it has such a high percentage off the dribble.
Yeah.
Tucker's more of a catch and shoot guy, although he can shoot it off the dribble too. He does it
Mhm.
well. But man, it's like you look at some of the stuff Eaglestaff does. It's a lot of he's always looking for the step back or the hezzy off the step back. Like those two moves are almost impossible to stop when you're a great
And it's
shooter.
so pretty too when he rises up and fires. And he doesn't care, talking Eaglestaff here. He doesn't care about a defender being on his hip, in his face.
No.
He doesn't care. He'll either shake him or shoot over him.
Yeah.
He doesn't care, man. And I think for you guys, until you figure out which other transfers are going to step up and be in your role, I think Eaglestaff being that just go get a bucket type of player will be advantageous for you early on. What you guys have Pitt in the non-con and then everything else kind of getting finalized still. And so
Yep.
I just think somebody like him is going to be crucial early on, especially for your head coach. You at least have somebody who you can trust. It's like, hey, we need a bucket, man. Go get us one. And Eaglestaff can do that. Indiana, we're hoping that DeVries, Tucker, that is a part of it, is in the fold, but several players step up and can get us a bucket at any time because we've been missing that for several years.
Yeah. And I think, on our side of things, if you're talking about players that can step up and help a Trey Eaglestaff, we already talked about Honor Huff, who, like we say, man, he's been a really good scorer in college up until now.
Yeah.
It's been all at lower level places, right? He had 1 year where he averaged 17.4, another year where he averaged 15.2. So, I mean, he can score it. If he stays in that realm, let's say 13, 12, anything close and still stays over or close to the 40%, we'll be happy with what Trey Eaglestaff can do, because if he's healthy, he's going to be in the conversation with any Big 12 player. Go look at what he did against Alabama if you need to see it for yourself.
Yep.
Or South Dakota State, who was actually a pretty good team last year. He dropped 51 on them. If
Yeah.
you drop 51 on a D1 team, I don't care at what level, you're good.
And you guys have some size too. I know you have a 7-footer in there. I don't know if he's going to be in the rotation or not, but you have some size.
The big problem with him, Jacob, is he's never played more than 20 minutes in any game. Gotcha. Or 20-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, it fluctuates, but that's the big question. He's 7 foot 280. He's a big guy.
That's a big
man.
man.
He's only he's a junior. So he's 9-6, shot 63% from the field last year. Started 23 games for a really good UNC Wilmington team.
Yeah.
They were a good team. But at the same time, we just don't know. That's our biggest issue is right now is we don't know who plays behind him. We have no clue. Sure. And at this point, who can you go get? I mean, there might be a guy out there or two left in the portal. This is the thing. We're at 10. Like, you got 15 spots. Like, we need to fill at least 2 more of these spots, you would think. And coach went on record a couple of weeks ago and said we needed to do so.
Yeah, Indiana's in the category. We're pretty finalized. I mean, there could be an add-on of a of a lower name developmental guy, but
Practice
Indiana's
player or
roster,
something.
yeah. I mean, Indiana's pretty set in stone, and DeVries has made it known too that he doesn't want to get to that 15 mark because of all the revenue sharing stuff that's coming, and you get limited on that, and there's a whole bunch of stuff on that. But I think our roster is pretty much set here in Bloomington, and for the most part, Indiana fans are pretty excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And tell everybody what you got going on over there in Locked On Hoosiers right now, and what you think about that remark that Signetti had about DeVries taking all the money.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was funny. I think look, when you're Kurt Signetti and you're the coach at Indiana, I mean, you know what you were walking into when they hired you. He just got a big payday, man. He's making like 8 or 9 mil. He's doing just fine. And Indiana football expectations are solid. I don't think anybody's trying to predict another return to the playoff. We wouldn't complain about it, but no, I think it was in good fun. And no, there's a lot of good things going on at Indiana. And so, yeah, we're covering football, basketball, anything else going on.
Wrestling?
And, yeah. Hey, anything we can, man. Anything, swim and dive, if that's what it takes.
I've been covering baseball here the last few weeks. It's been pretty fun.
You guys have been playing some good baseball. Yeah, you're going to Baton Rouge, right?
They got 2 really good aces.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, SEC, man, they're pretty legit. Yeah. I know they struggled as a whole as a conference, but the teams that survived are really, really good. You making the trip to Baton Rouge?
Not making the trip to Baton Rouge. That would be fun.
Yeah,
here's the thing.
That'd be wild.
So really quick before we jump off here, we added almost 60 players in the portal in football.
Okay.
So I've honestly had a reason to go almost every day because of that, right?
Just breaking them all down.
Sometimes multiple times a day. I was so focused on football and basketball there for so long that a large portion of our baseball season is a blur to me. And I had to kind of, as our team started to pick up steam, learn the team because it flipped. Everything from last year flipped. Yeah. And so I just didn't feel comfortable there for a few weeks coming on and talking about the team as much because I felt like I was still learning about them a little bit because football and basketball had taken so much time for me. Yeah. Now I'm in a comfortable place where I feel good about it. I still tell everybody I'm still learning some things about the team. It's not like with football or basketball where I can dive deep and have these opinions. So it's been fun on the ride though. And I really, we got a shot against LSU for sure. Yeah. I mean, we didn't win the Big 12 for nothing and win 40-something games for nothing. We got an ace ourselves. So it's going to be fun to see what happens down there, man. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you don't make it to a super if you're not good, man. That's all I can say. So yeah, no, glad we were able to do this and talk Indiana, talk West Virginia. And man, if there's any possible way that these two teams could get matched up in the NCAA tournament, please make it please make it happen. How awesome would that be in year 1 for these two squads?
That would be great. Would love to see it happen, man. And we would have a great time on that crossover as well.
Absolutely.
By the way, thank you to the 100 or so you over on X and the 123 here on, or whatever it is on YouTube. I appreciate you guys for jumping in. We're going to run. I got something I got to go do that came up. I want to say thanks to Jacob for coming on. Locked On Hoosiers does an excellent job over there covering all their wonderful sports. And even though we may not like how Darren left, we still like Jacob. And that's all that matters, man. So thanks for coming on, and thanks for being part of this Locked On crossover. We will see you guys on the next one. Before you go, though, we got to tell you, can't forget to tell you this. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia and Locked On Hoosiers your first listen. You can go check out Locked On Portal, man. It's an awesome show over there. Brian Smith has got the latest rumors, portal entries, and the signings, and you can be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to college football landscape. If you want to find the Portal Report on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, that would be wonderful. And look, we all know there's a lot of that. 365, 7 days a week. There's somebody in the portal going somewhere, Jacob.
That's right. No, Brian does an incredible job. Yes, go check him out. He joins us once every couple of weeks to talk Indiana football recruiting. So, yes, go check out the Portal Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
All right, guys, we're going to go. But, yeah, check back in with Indiana as we go through the year. We'll see if maybe we can meet. That would be so fun. Even in football, we'll meet you in the playoff there too. I don't care.
Sounds good to me, man. However we can make it happen.
All right, guys. Have a great one. For Jacob, for me, we're out of here.